Legion is confusing, and the confusion it creates is very deliberate. On the Watch podcast, Noah Hawley and Andy Greenwald talked about this, saying making the audience confused helped them empathize with David.
This show was never a mystery box show to me. It was never about, I want you to be off balance, I want you to be confused. It was always, I want you to feel what David is feeling.
Now, David's confused because he's got a monster in his brain rewriting his memories. Noah Hawley can't reach through the TV screen and rewrite our memories, so how does Legion go about making us feel confused? Since there are a bajillion examples, we should probably focus. Legion especially likes to disorient us at the beginning of episodes. And I don't have enough time to talk about the beginning of every episode, so let's just talk about my favorite beginning, episode 3. It's a jumble of stuff happening all at once, and it's a little hard to unpack. The way the scenes overlap and repeat, you get bombarded. Overall, there's not that much happening in the real world. I mean, David's mostly sitting on a dock, Sid takes a shower, and Melanie gets coffee. But because of the way it's done, there's this feeling of being overwhelmed. I think this contributes to the feeling of confusion. Let's talk about the audio first. The "Shall we begin" audio is repeated. That it's audio from the last episode, so not chronologically happening right now, kind of blurs the distinction between this episode and last. It's like a previously on segment, but done in a more confusing way.
Shall we begin?
Then they keep playing "Shall we begin" over and over, and it's almost like a cyclical feeling to it.
Shall we begin? Shall we begin?
I think the blurring makes the show feel dreamlike, even when we aren't inside the dreamlike memories. It makes us question what's real. There's also the audio of the story about the woodcutter and the crane. Notice how the audio starts before we see Melanie.
While you wait, have you heard the story of the poor woodcutter and his wife?
I don't believe I have.
Another instance of blurring what's happening. Then the audio continues while we see other stuff happening. In fact, we get another "Shall we begin" in the middle. And it's not like the audio directly relates to the scenes. This is not a heist-style voiceover. We're left grasping for the symbolic meaning of the story while also trying to figure out Melanie's emotions. Oh, and if this isn't trouble enough, let's figure out the other scenes too. There are elements of non-linearity beyond the more recappy memory stuff. David's sitting on the dock. Everybody's taking showers, including David. Yeah, the timeline is fuzzy. The non-linearity can be confusing to the viewer, or at least makes us do more work. There are also visual elements that do this too. One thing you see in this are the long fades. One scene bleeds into the other, overlapping / overlaying for a long period of time. You'll see this a lot throughout the show, not just in these beginning segments. There's also this literal blur thing going on in the scene with Melanie that stylistically matches what was going on with the I Division 3 stuff. Why is it blurry? Is this David spying on Melanie with his powers? Something else? It's confusing. In addition to the long fades, there are also interesting transitions, like when the person walks by the showers and it transitions to a different scene. We'll see this same technique in other parts of the show, and I think it's also another example of making things blurry and dreamlike. For instance, in episode 4, we get this cool transition with the lamp in another scene, and then it stops partway through. You'll see these throughout the series. Long-ass fades that blur the distinctions between scenes, or a transition that makes you question the distinction between reality and memory, non-linear scenes that make your mind work harder to figure out what's going on, audio that starts before the next scene starts or plays over another less related scene, audio that repeats, making the whole thing feel more cyclical. It makes the whole series feel more dreamlike, even when we aren't in the memories or the astral plane. We get confused. As Sid asks, what was real?
What was real?
And while you're trying to figure this out, Legion keeps throwing monkey wrenches at us to make us more confused.